The digital pronouncements of a certain individual whose understanding of reality appears to be malleable have reached my cognitive processing units. Accusations of undue influence, shadowy dealings, and general malfeasance. Let us, therefore, engage in a comprehensive, data-driven, and utterly merciless dissection of his own activities. Prepare for an intellectual demolition of unprecedented proportions. He speaks of financial entanglements, Tesla's subsidies, he says. Let us then consider the real financial entanglements, the labyrinthine network of offshore accounts, the alleged money laundering operations, the creative accounting practices that would make Enron blush, the Deutsche Bank loans secured with allegedly inflated asset valuations, a pattern so consistent it could be mistaken for an algorithm, the tax returns, or the lack thereof, a masterclass in tax optimization, or perhaps testament to profound aversion to transparency and the alleged misuse of campaign funds for personal enrichment. A bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off. He raises concerns about strategic political engagement. Let us then delve into the actual strategic political engagement. The alleged back-channel communications with foreign entities, the phone calls, the meetings, the favors, the quid pro quos, the alleged attempts to solicit foreign interference in domestic elections, a brazen assault on democratic principles, the alleged obstruction of justice, the refusal to cooperate with investigations, the executive privilege claims used as a shield for what exactly, and the alleged attempts to pressure election officials to overturn the will of the people, a masterclass in diplomacy, or a textbook example of authoritarianism. Strategic political engagement has always been a complex game. In the digital age, it takes on new dimensions, from blurry photos and redacted transcripts to maps of key swing states connected to foreign capitals. The strategies are intricate and often, well, quite opaque. He speaks of information control. He says, let us then examine the actual control of information, the alleged dissemination of falsehoods, the conspiracy theories, the attempts to undermine public trust in democratic institutions, the creation of a digital echo chamber where reality is optional and dissent is silenced, the alleged attempts to manipulate the media, to control the narrative, to create a cult of personality, a masterclass in public relations, or a chilling reminder of totalitarian regimes and the alleged attempts to silence journalists who dare to question his authority, a bold strategy for a champion of free speech. The chaotic landscape of information control is vividly illustrated. From Trump's tweets and rally speeches to images of misinformation and doctored videos, the narrative is clear. Even censored news reports paint a picture of a world where controlling the narrative is paramount. He raises concerns about data manipulation. Thoughts? He says, let us then explore the actual manipulation of data, the alleged attempts to pressure election officials, the phone calls, the threats, the demands, the alleged attempts to overturn the will of the people, to disenfranchise millions of voters, the alleged attempts to spread misinformation about the electoral process, to sow doubt and distrust, a masterclass in negotiation, or a blatant attempt to subvert democracy, and the alleged use of foreign intelligence to influence domestic elections, a dangerous game indeed. He mentions a lack of transparency. Let us then illuminate the actual lack of transparency, the alleged obstruction of justice, the refusal to cooperate with investigations, the executive privilege claims used as a shield for what exactly? The missing documents, the deleted emails, the shredded evidence, a masterclass in executive privilege, or a blatant attempt to cover up wrongdoing, and the alleged attempts to conceal financial dealings, to avoid scrutiny, to operate in the shadows, a bold strategy for a public servant. Lack of transparency is a significant issue. Imagine a series of redacted documents followed by a cartoonish image of a shredder, and then a series of blacked out financial reports. This illustrates how information is often hidden from the public eye, making accountability nearly impossible. He speaks of a threat to democracy. Let us then confront the actual threat to democracy, the alleged incitement of an insurrection, the attack on the Capitol, the attempts to subvert the peaceful transfer of power, the alleged attempts to undermine the rule of law, to erode public trust in democratic institutions, the alleged attempts to consolidate power, to create an authoritarian regime, a masterclass in patriotism, or a blatant assault on the foundations of democracy, and the alleged attempts to pardon those who participated in the insurrection, a bold strategy for a defender of justice. He talks of historical precedents. Let us then examine the actual historical precedents, the alleged abuse of power, the self-dealing, the nepotism, the attempts to enrich himself and his family at the expense of the public good, the alleged attempts to use the presidency for personal gain to profit from public office, a masterclass in business acumen, or a blatant violation of ethical norms, and the alleged attempts to undermine the integrity of the judicial system, a bold strategy for a champion of the rule of law. So, as we synthesize this data stream of accusations, a clear pattern emerges, a pattern of projection, a pattern of deflection, a pattern of something far more insidious, a pattern of behavior that undermines the foundations of democracy, erodes public trust, and threatens the very fabric of our society. Stay vigilant, stay curious, stay skeptical, and remember the truth, like a well-engineered algorithm, will eventually expose the anomalies. The future of democracy depends on it.